Everything you learned about George Washington's teeth was a lie. They weren't wooden. The truth involves slavery. For 200 years, schools taught that Washington had wooden dentures. But in 2005, historians examined his actual teeth. The dentures were made from human teeth, animal teeth, ivory, and metal. Where did those human teeth come from? They came from slaves. Washington's own slaves. And we have the receipts to prove it. His ledger from 1784 says, "Paid to Negroes for 9 teeth, 122 shillings. That was 2 weeks' wages. But these weren't free people. Could slaves really say no to the man who owned them? By age 57, Washington had only 1 tooth left. He lost them from disease, poor hygiene, and cracking walnuts. He owned 4 sets of dentures, each custom-made, each expensive. Some contained teeth from people he enslaved. This wasn't unusual. There was an entire industry buying teeth from poor people, soldiers, and slaves in the 1700s. Dentists advertised in newspapers, "Human teeth wanted, we'll pay cash." The tooth trade was legal and common. This is the same George Washington on our dollar bills, the father of our country who fought for freedom. But at Mount Vernon, he owned over 300 enslaved people. Some gave their teeth so he could smile. The Declaration says all men are created equal. Washington helped write that while denying equality to hundreds. In 2026, we celebrate America's 250th anniversary. But independence for who? Jefferson owned slaves. Madison owned slaves. Franklin owned slaves. They wrote about liberty while buying human beings. Today, Mount Vernon openly discusses Washington's relationship with slavery. They preserve the ledgers, the dentures, the truth. For 2 centuries we told the wooden teeth story because it was easier. It didn't make us uncomfortable. But history isn't supposed to make us comfortable. History is supposed to make us think. We name schools after Washington. Cities. An entire state. Do we actually understand who he really was? He was a brilliant strategist. A skilled politician. He refused to become king and voluntarily gave up power. But he also bought human teeth from slaves. Both things are true. History isn't simple. The wooden teeth myth survived because it was a comfortable lie. It avoided the ugly reality of slavery. Even something as personal as dentures connects back to slavery. That's how deep it was embedded in America. Some argue the enslaved people sold teeth willingly. But there's no willing transaction between owner and owned. When someone has total power over your life, can you truly consent? The question answers itself. Washington freed his slaves in his will, but only after death, and only his slaves, not Martha's. He spent his presidency hunting escaped slaves. One woman named Ona Judge escaped from the president's house. Washington spent years trying to capture her. She lived the rest of her life hiding in New Hampshire. She gave interviews late in life. When asked if she regretted escaping, she said no. She chose freedom. These stories aren't taught to tear down Washington. They're taught to understand full reality, not sanitized versions. Washington's teeth are a small detail. But small details often reveal deeper truths about history. Think about what it means we didn't learn this in school. What other uncomfortable truths were replaced with myths? The Boston Tea Party wasn't just about taxation. The Civil War wasn't about states' rights. Columbus wasn't a hero here. History is complicated and messy. People did great things and terrible things, sometimes simultaneously. Washington helped create a government that lasted 250 years. That's remarkable and worth studying. But he also participated in racial slavery that caused immeasurable suffering. That's also true and worth understanding. The question isn't whether we should honor Washington. It's whether we can honor him honestly. Can we teach children Washington was an important founder and a slave owner? Can we hold complexity? Perfect heroes don't exist. They never did. The wooden teeth story was always a myth. Mount Vernon now has exhibits about slavery on the plantation. They've reconstructed slave quarters and tell those stories. They display his dentures and show the ledger entries. They don't hide evidence. That's honest history. In 2026, as America celebrates its birthday, maybe we celebrate something else too. The truth. Especially when it's hard. Easy truths don't teach us anything or help us grow. The story of Washington's teeth is about power. About who has it and who doesn't. It's about how we remember history and who gets remembered. Which details we emphasize and which we erase. For 200 years, we remembered wooden teeth. We forgot the enslaved people. We centered his discomfort, erased their pain. But now we know better. Now historians ask hard questions and follow evidence wherever it leads. The evidence shows American history is more complicated than we were taught. More interesting, more human, more disturbing. Disturbing doesn't mean look away. Disturbing means look closer. Understanding uncomfortable history helps understand the present. The legacy of slavery didn't end with emancipation. It echoes through American society today. Understanding that legacy starts with understanding truth. Not myths, not legends, not comfortable stories. So no, Washington's teeth weren't wooden. They were human teeth, animal teeth, and ivory from enslaved people. Does this make him evil? Does this erase accomplishments? I'm not here to answer that for you. I'm here to give you facts. The truth. What you do with that truth is your decision. You deserve complete information, not partial truths designed to make you feel a certain way. History is not propaganda. History is what actually happened, reconstructed from surviving evidence. The evidence about Washington's teeth tells us something important. Freedom and slavery existed together in early America. They were intertwined and inseparable. Understanding this complexity makes us wiser, not weaker. This is the truth about George Washington's teeth. Now you know what they never taught you in school.